Another busy 12 months has passed for the athletics scene on the Isle of Man. 2023 has been yet another calendar year of record-breaking, personal bests and chances to shine on the international stage, both here on Manx shores and beyond. One man who has once again been keeping across all that has happened this year is Dave Griffiths, local correspondent for the Isle of Man athletics world. With all that's happened and with the new year approaching, I caught up with Dave to get his thoughts on what has been a memorable 2023 and what we could expect in 2024.
Well, I think looking back in sort of chronological order during the year, and of course athletics is a very diverse sport, so we've got quite a number of different disciplines. I think sort of starting the year in January, I think without a doubt the highlight that month was endurance runner Oren Smith, who contested the winter spine race, which effectively is a traverse of the 270 miles, I think, of the Pennine Way in the middle of January. Now, not only is that an endurance event, but the conditions were absolutely incredible, even for the Pennines in January. I think the temperatures were -10, and Oren just showed the most incredible endurance to complete that challenge in conditions which were so bad that his shoes actually got stuck to his feet. Such were the extreme temperatures, and it was just an incredible feat of endurance. Moving into February and into cross country, we had Sarah Aston, who became the second Manx athlete in history to win a senior race at the English National Cross Country Championships when she won the senior women's race at a course in Chester. And that was a fantastic performance where she outsprinted an athlete who was a former European champion. And then sort of moving into the sort of Easter period, we had an incredibly successful Easter festival with record numbers, a number of record times set on the courses as well. And also over the Easter weekend, we had a very successful Manx Mountain Marathon run by the Fell Runners. And then earlier on in April, a very strong contender for Athlete of the Year was Sarah Webster, again an endurance runner, who won the Anglo-Irish 100 kilometres championship in what was a new British record time. Now, just to put some perspective on that performance, her time was just outside 7 hours, which is basically a 42-minute 10K, doing that 10 times back to back, which, that really does put into perspective what an amazing feat that was and what a great athlete Sarah is. Moving into midsummer, we had, of course, the highlight of any athletic year, obviously, is the parish walk. Although numbers have gone down a little bit over recent years, we're still looking at an event with around 1,000 competitors. Just a fantastic event, not only on the athletics calendar, but just on the on the Isle of Man calendar generally. Then moving into July, we had the first Island Games for 4 years, which took place in Guernsey. And the Isle of Man athletics team really exceeded all expectations this year. It was a particularly young team, a lot of debutants, so a lot of inexperience in the team. But their medal tally was very close to what we've had historically with much more experienced teams. So that really was a great effort by all concerned, and that was across disciplines as well. I will just have to pick out the star athlete, I think, at the Island Games, one of our most experienced campaigners, who was Rachel Franklin, of course, who won 3 individual gold medals. She's only the second Isle of Man athlete ever to achieve that, and she also set 2 Island Games records in the 1,500 and 5,000 metres, by substantial margins as well. So another fantastic performance by Rachel. And then sort of moving into the autumn season, once we get into October, we have the start of quite a number of the sort of autumn and winter series across a number of different disciplines. And I particularly mentioned the Winter Hill League series, organised by the Manx Fell Runners, a 3-round series over relatively short courses where you have athletes from 12 years and upwards all competing against each other over the same course. I've had fantastic numbers in that, great performances, and just a great sort of vibe about that series, and it's been really brilliant. Moving into November, Sarah Webster again, she went away to Hyderabad in India to represent Great Britain in the World 50-kilometre Running Championships, and she produced yet another amazing performance to win the bronze medal. Now, that's not a veteran competition, that is an open competition, and Sarah won the bronze medal in a World Championship, only 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes behind the winner. Another incredible performance. There's nothing much really more you could say about Sarah, really. And then one other athlete I would pick out as well is Lorna Gleave, because she achieved quite a unique hat trick this year by winning the women's races at the Parish Walk, the End-to-End Walk, and the Sid Quirk Walk. And she's the first athlete, male or female, ever to achieve that. So a really great achievement by Lorna. And then I think just moving into December, away from actual competition, I think a really significant moment for Manx Athletics was the appointment of Ollie Lockley as the Athletics Development Officer, which he'll be in post for the next 3 years. And I just think, he'll do a great job, I think, developing the sport over the next 3 years. And, wish him well. And, look forward to seeing what he can do for the sport.
Okay, obviously, as you've quite rightly pointed out, there's plenty there. So let's just start with the arguably the big one, the Island Games in Guernsey. The Island Games returning after 4 years. You pointed out just before, it wasn't just the success that the Isle of Man had overall in the athletics side of things, but it was quite a lot of youth and inexperience in the squad at that time, some going there for the first time. What do you think that says about the preparations and coaching that the Isle of Man provides that means that these athletes who are maybe there for the first time are still competing right at the very top in those games?
Oh, I mean, it says a great deal about it. I mean, I think I would particularly compliment the team manager, Petra Atchison, who was only in post for, I think it was around about 6 months before the games. So she did an enormous amount of work on, fundraising, pulling the squad together. She had a great team around her as well. And as I said, we had a lot of athletes who were debutants at the Island Games, and it was across a number of different disciplines as well. We're not just relying on the Rachel Franklins and athletes of her caliber, but we're looking right through the board. And sometimes at the Island Games you can get medal performances that are completely unexpected. And I think one that stood out to me was probably Amy Christian winning the bronze medal in the 400 meters hurdles. Nobody could have expected that. I think least of all Amy herself, and it's just moments like that that really stand out, I think. And those are testament to the coaches and the people who have helped the young athletes to come through and to prepare them for such a big event.
And from those who have been maybe making their debuts or are less experienced to the more experienced, you've already mentioned Rachel Franklin there, 3 gold medals, 2 more Island Games records as well in the 1500 metres and the 5000 metres. We saw as well Corin Leeming and Alan Corlett performing well in the men's 10,000 metres. The list continues for the more experienced athletes. It's testament, is it not, to them that they're keeping themselves in this condition and still, after several different tournaments like the Games and elsewhere, that they're still in and amongst the very best.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since the last Games, of course, we've gone through the COVID period where you had a year with with no competition off the island and the Games getting cancelled in 2021. But like you say, it's just testament to the the determination that they've got to be the best athletes they can possibly be, that they've just worked through that and made light of it and performed at the level they did this year. It's been absolutely brilliant.
And then we'll come on to the achievements of Sarah Webster this year. They've been great. You've already mentioned winning the 100-kilometre Anglo-Celtic Plate, a new British record there, and then also medalling in the World 50-kilometre Championships. What do you think is Sarah's secret here to this success? We've asked her this question, so I'd like to ask this of you from an outside perspective. What keeps Sarah Webster just performing and delivering time after time?
Well, over the years I've been involved in athletics, I've known many, many athletes who have been tremendously determined and single-minded, in their pursuit of excellence. I don't think I've ever met anyone who has been more so than Sarah Webster. Probably some who sort of maybe on a par, but Sarah's single-minded determination to achieve what she set out to achieve is just phenomenal, really. And I think with endurance running as well, it's not just the hard physical work that you have to put in, it's the sheer time that's involved as well. You can't achieve what she's done over 100 kilometres and 50 kilometres by just going out for the odd half an hour run. It really does involve a tremendous amount of time, going out for 3, 4, 5 hour runs, the preparation before you go out, the recovery afterwards. And I think it's a testament to, not only to her determination, but also, to the support that she's had from the people around her, from her family, to achieve what she's done. And she's an absolute inspiration, and not only as an athlete, but in the very little spare time that she has, she still manages to chair Northern Athletic Club, and she helps out at all the track and field meetings, organises all different events as well. She's absolutely amazing.
And not forgetting as well, for a couple of the younger athletes, a great experience this year at the Commonwealth Youth Games over in Trinidad and Tobago back in August. We had 2 Manx competitors in the athletic side of things. We had Regan Corrin in the long jump, and we also had Jack Kinray competing in the 800 metres. Just how big an experience is it for those two athletes to be performing on such a stage like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, again, that's absolutely phenomenal, really. Two tremendously promising young up-and-coming athletes who we very much hope will go on to senior success. Jack, of course, is a middle distance runner. Corrin is very much, Regan is very much a multi-event athlete, but who probably specialises in the high jump. And of course, he also won the gold medal at the Island Games. And I think it's just, I think they're role models for the athletes around them as well. You know, the young up and coming athletes. I think another athlete who's really caught my eye this year, and I think has got a great chance of going on to be a successful senior athlete, is Sam Perry, sort of middle to sort of long distance cross country runner. You know, he's had a great year as well. So there's a lot of talent coming through, and it's exciting times without a doubt.
And taking a look quickly at the parish walk, you mentioned about the entry numbers this year. They're a little bit down on what their record was in that first event after COVID. Now, when we've spoken previously to the race director, Ray Cox, he's mentioned they're not expecting to hit that figure again. It was obviously huge what they had in that first event post-pandemic, but the numbers are still high on average. You know, just testament, but is it maybe to, you know, those who organise the parish walk, that they're still keeping those numbers consistently at a good level?
Oh yes, I think so. I mean, the amount of work that's involved in putting an event on like the parish walk is incredible. You know, it's an event that takes in sort of, you know, all four corners of the Isle of Man, and I think, you know, you might have 1,000 people out there walking. You've probably got a lot more than that. In terms of people who come out and man the drink stations and marshal and organise the traffic, and you know, just sort of people lining the streets, providing refreshments, encouragement, music. You know, it's a fantastic event, but it does take a huge amount of organising. And I think Ray Cox and his team have just got it down to a fine art, and it's brilliant. I mean, I actually experienced it from the point of view of a competitor this year for the first time for a while, and it just brought it home to me just how good it is. It's the jewel in the crown, I think, of Manx athletics.
And Dee Morgan won the race overall this year in the parish walk, but you've rightly pointed out another individual that shone in the parish walk and two other events. Lorna Gleave, she was the winner of the women's race in the parish walk, and an unprecedented hat-trick of victories across 3 events. So, you know, for Lorna's season, that must be a real coup, I guess, and a real milestone for her.
Yeah, it's brilliant by Lorna. She actually came back from missing most of last year from the birth of her third child, and she was always intending to get back, but I don't think even she could have expected to sort of hit the ground running or hitting the ground walking, or whatever the expression is, you know, in quite such spectacular style. And again, you know, she's a very hard-working athlete. She sort of goes under the radar, I think, a little bit because she, you know, she doesn't really blow her own trumpet at all about her achievements. You know, she just gets on with it. And but again, like Sarah Webster and others, she relies on, you know, a great deal of support from her family. You know, as does everyone really. And it was a great achievement by her to do what she did this year.
Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the athletes off Ireland as well. We've already mentioned Sarah Aston and Gemma Aston in their respective achievements and milestones, if you like. So how would you sum up their seasons in 2023 so far?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we've got one athlete we haven't mentioned, I don't think, is David Malarkey, who is now out in America. He's got a professional contract with Florida State University. David is a middle to long distance runner. He specialises in cross country as well, and he just goes from strength to strength. And he is an athlete who came into the sport as an under 9 actually, and he was winning at under 9 level, and he's been winning at every age group since, and running. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that it's been his life over the last, probably 15 years or so, and he's just completely single-minded as well. And he ran in the Commonwealth Games extremely well in 2022, and he's getting better and better. And you know, I don't think there's any limit to what he can achieve. That's a really exciting thing as well. And yeah, I think he's also, even though a lot of the younger athletes now don't particularly know David or know him personally, they do take inspiration from his achievements, and I know they do follow what he's doing. So having role models like that is really important, I think.
You read my mind when you came on to David Malarkey there. I was going to ask about him in a second, but also as well, right towards the end of this year, he took quite a prestigious title. He managed to secure All-American status as well.
Yes, that's right. And he is, to the best of my knowledge, I think he's the second Isle of Man athlete to do that, because Keith Gerrard also achieved that, I think, both in cross-country and in track. I think 10,000 metres on the track a number of years ago. And Keith, although he's retired from competitive running now, he's still living in America and sort of very much involved in the athletic scene, more through coaching these days. So yeah, it's great that we've had two athletes from the Isle of Man who have achieved that, in the last sort of 10 to 12 years.
And looking at some of the other off-island athletes, I mean, I'll come on to one now that's not necessarily off-island, but Erica Kelly as well. She got herself quite high up into the rankings in the race walking side of things quite recently.
Yeah, Erica's a tremendously talented race walker. She's been on the scene for a number of years now. She actually came onto the racing scene almost by accident a number of years ago when she sort of famously turned up to the wrong training session. She thought she was turning up to a running training session, and she ended up getting involved in the race walking group run by Steve Partington at the time, and sort of the rest is history, really. She's had a little bit of frustrating year, Erica, because she's trained really, really well, and she's been in great shape all year. Hasn't quite replicated that form in races due to a number of things, maybe little sort of niggling illnesses, injuries, or whatever. But I'm sure she's another very single-minded and determined athlete, and I'm sure that if she does keep putting the work in and keeps believing, she will get the results that all her dedication deserves. So I hope she has a great year in 2024.
And another as well, you've already mentioned his name, Ollie Lockley as well, and one of his highlights, of course, was winning the Reading Half Marathon this year, amongst other things, and being brought on as the development officer for Isle of Man Athletics. We've spoken to Ollie already about this from your side of things, from an outside perspective. What do you think he's going to bring to the role?
Well, I think sort of without knowing sort of exactly what Ollie's job description is, I think to me the three main things, or the three most important things that probably we'll be looking at, is to train up more officials, to train up more coaches, because obviously without the officials and the coaches, we simply don't have a sport. And I think also I think it's really important to take athletics into the schools as well, and sort of to make sure that the talented young athletes are not maybe lost to other sports, and to identify them quite early, and to try and, to try and offer them the best sort of coaching and the best support that they can possibly have, as they develop as athletes. So I think those are probably, for me, the three things that I'd be looking for. Okay,
and finally, just the last couple of questions. We'll take a look now into 2024. No doubt another busy schedule planned over the course of the 12 months. So how promising and how exciting is the schedule going into next year?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I haven't actually seen the confirmed fixtures for next year, but I think certainly most of the big events will be very much as they have been traditionally. I mean, in the very short term, one I'm really excited about is the Lancashire Cross Country Championships, which takes place the first week in January, 6th of January, I think, at Witton Park in Blackburn. That's an event that's supported in great numbers by local athletes from the under-11 age group upwards. And I think this year we have got real talent and real medal potential in all the age groups from under 11 upwards, to be honest. So that's going to be a really exciting day in Blackburn, I think. Then, of course, in February, we've got the English National Cross Country Championships. Is Sarah Aston going to be in shape to challenge to maintain her title from last year? And there'll be other athletes who will be contesting that event as well. And hoping to maybe improve on previous positions and sort of getting amongst the leading group maybe. But yeah, and then sort of looking ahead to the parish walk and all the usual events. Yeah, it's really, really exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
And in terms of all the bits that go in around that, there's obviously a lot of hard work that has to go on behind the scenes in terms of the training, the logistics, the infrastructure around athletics, in and around all these events. What do you think maybe needs to be? Is there anything that needs to be added or changed in any way to maybe just keep athletics evolving on the island?
I think it's sort of keeping athletics at the forefront. I think publicising the sport well is quite important as well. I think, we've got a relatively new committee with Isle of Man Athletics. I say relatively new. They've been in post probably for about a year now. Prior to that, they were really, really struggling for officials, so probably lost a little bit of momentum. But I think now having a full committee and a strong committee, and also being supported now by Ollie in his post as development officer, I think it's quite important to sort of communicate with people in the sport, what the plans are going forward, what their vision is for the sport going forward. And like I've said, I think a lot of that will be to try and encourage more people into roles such as coaching, officiating. I mean, for example, in a track and field meeting, you need a whole plethora of officials across all different disciplines, from pole vault to long jump to track and everything else, timekeeping, recording or whatever. So it's a real diverse range of skill sets. And, we've just about got those covered at the moment, but, quite a lot of our officials have been around for many, many years. They're not going to be, they're not going to be in post forever. And, we need to take the pressure off them by getting more people into the sport. So I'm sure that will be the message going forward.
Thank you for having the stamina to make it to the end of the Manx Radio Sportscast. You're clearly someone who has their eye on the ball at all times. Want to hear more about the latest sporting news across the Isle of Man and much more? Then might I recommend you take the plunge and subscribe to this series or a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so that, in a flash, all of our finest moments take a winner's place on your smartphone. Thank you.